Extra Frame, the online bowling channel, is proud to present live coverage of the PBA Sands Regency West Northwest region Players Invitational live at the National Bowling Stadium. Hello again, everybody. Mike J. Laneside with PBA Tour champion Dave Watka, and the bowling guy is Jason Thomas. Josh Blanchard faces Ben Laughlin. 10 frames to a title, Dave.
Again, it's one game match, going to go pretty quickly. We got the two Arizona boys duking it out here. They play the lanes really, really similar. Josh probably a little softer hand at the bottom. Ben kind of grabs it a little bit more. But 10 shots. They're both the lane transition shouldn't affect either one of them. I think they're both going to be playing them pretty much the same, and they're both throwing balls that roll fairly similar, real rolly, kind of aggressive stuff. We'll see what happens.
It's a fresh pair, 25 and 6. Are freshly applied with the 39-foot PBA World, or rather the PBA Tournament of Champions pattern. Did you detect a minor difference between the pairs that they were on and the pairs they're now on?
No, I don't think so. I think when the only thing I might have seen is when they stripped and re-oiled that last time, that maybe they got a touch tighter down the lane. And I think who it affected most was Scott Norton. I think it affected him the most. He made a lot of pretty good shots, but his ball didn't quite go through the pins the right way. So they might have got just a little bit tighter down the lane. That I don't think will affect either one of these players, as they both kind of keep it in front of them. They're not going away from the pocket a lot.
Quite a package awaits the winner. The title, $6,000 in cash. World Series of Bowling 5 entry, seeding into the PBA RPI ESPN Finals, and then entries into next week's World Series of Bowling for the all-region event and the member-non-member doubles event.
That's a pretty big, I think, for Ben, never made a TV show, even though he bowled on tour for a year. I think that's a pretty big thing for him to have a shot at making an ESPN telecast right here.
Well, we've got the handshake, and Blanchard being the higher-seeded player. Let's see what he does with Mr. Laughlin. And it looks like he's going to elect to have Ben open the match.
As Josh, I like that. That's what I would do. As the higher seed, I always try to let my opponent start because that makes them finish. It lets you finish first. So I like that play. Unless there's a drastic difference in the two lanes, if I have choice, I always make my opponent start.
So here we go. 10 frames of bowling, just like at home. You got to put your names in the machine before you can start playing.
And we're going to get it going pretty quick here, and Ben's going to start us off.
So the great staff here at the NBS punches in B-E-N, and here we go. Laughlin will open our championship match for the Sands Regency West Northwest Region Players Invitational title. Here we go, 10 frames of bowling.
Pretty good shot to start the match for Ben.
Makes him dance.
Way to get off to that quick start. I'm wondering if the ball drilling fees are going to go up if Ben wins this match, because Ben actually gets his stuff drilled at Josh's pro shop.
There could be a little something to that. Something even more amazing is that Gary Mage stopped by between semis and championship match and said that every event Josh has ever bowled in my region, he's finished no worse than second.
Wow, that's a pretty interesting stat. And as we saw, Josh did that in the first frame last match. He did the same thing where he kind of airmailed that first shot. Then he recovered very nicely and made a lot of good shots after that. So we'll see if he can do that same thing again.
You guys have these colorful outfits. Where was the inspiration for that?
That was the Columbia 300. The new Columbia 300 with the bright colors and the fun, and it's been pretty good. We credit that to Bugsy Kelly, the Columbia 300 brand manager, and you see a lot of the bright colored Columbia bowling balls now too as well.
Easy to pick you guys out when you're at a major bowling event.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think with the whole Team C300 being there for the World Series, you'll see plenty of bright colors there.
So Blanchard on the board with a spare championship match. The great package of prizes will go to the winner. Josh's first crack here at the left lane after having Laughlin start there.
That looked like a better shot and didn't quite get there.
Light in the pocket, didn't roll the 8 out.
Should be no problem on the spare for Josh.
Big thanks to everybody here at the National Bowling Stadium, managed by Bob Thomas. Everybody here, David, it's always great to come back here to Reno.
It is. It's a great facility. It's a great facility. Bob and his crew do a great job here, and we certainly thank them for hosting all the events that they do here.
Tournament director Gary Mage and his wife Tony working hard, keeping everything straight.
No problem with the spare by Josh there.
Cleans up the spare, does Josh Blanchard, and we move on. David, always the first double, when you think about one-game matches, that first double is generally a key in the match.
It is, especially in these one-game matches. You know, you want to get out to a quick start, and that first double maybe loosens your arm swing up a little bit, especially when your opponent doesn't have it yet, and that looks way right. Ooh, he got away with one there. So he might have a little extra hook to the right on this pair. And that quick double might loosen his arm swing up a little bit and maybe lead to making even better shots.
And whoever is number 240 out there in the World Series of Bowling field, Ben Laughlin, if he does win this match, will decline his entry. So the field will fill at 240 if Laughlin wins with the player on the bubble. Player on the bubble is getting in regardless. And a 2-8 on a light hit.
That one right again, too. Not the easiest of spares with that sleeper back there. He's just going to try to move a couple right with his feet probably and line up just like a strike shot. Get it over there a little further. Looked like Ben maybe had a little trouble with the approach on that last strike shot. That's got to lay off. So an open frame after the double, and that will put Josh back in the lead by 3 pins, sitting on the bench.
So the early effects of the opening double now negated by the open frame.
And we saw Ben throw an open in the middle early on in last game too, and then recovered very nicely. So we'll see how he can recover after the open and get in a break while Josh throws his 2 shots.
Blanchard yet to strike here in the title match. Sailed one wide here in the first frame. Now working in the third. That one looked inside. That was the natural correction.
So we now have a 1-pin match if Josh converts this spare.
But if you're Josh Blanchard, you're probably saying to yourself, boy, you threw 3 pretty awful shots and didn't really affect the outcome so far.
Yeah, you know, if you're Josh, you got to be thinking, wow, you know, I haven't made a good shot yet, and I'm actually up in the match by 1 pin. So let's make the spare, let's regroup, and let's make a good shot on the next one. No problem covering the spare. And right now, if you're Ben, you got an open frame there, and you got to be sitting on the bench going, okay, you know what? He didn't double, so it's still at worst a 1-pin match.
Blanchard up now in the 4th frame. Spare, spare, spare.
That looked a little left again, and right through the face for a 310 baby split. And that will now give the 1-pin lead back to Ben. So with the open frame, Ben gets the lead back sitting on the bench.
With the count, and it could add up if Blanchard fails to cover here.
And no problem covering the 310.
David, what do you see from these 2 right-handers in terms of play within relation to each other?
Again, I think, well, Ben actually is starting it a little further left than Josh, so he may be putting a little bit of oil down on Josh breaks point, on his break point, which might be causing those couple light shots and then the overcorrection. That looked like a pretty good shot right there. Ben's got a little more forward roll and a little more grab, so his ball has a tendency to make that one move and kind of stop, which a lot of times on the fresh is an advantage. And Ben has a tendency to bowl much better early on than he does later in the block.
Laughlin's got 3 out of 4 strikes, and it's beer frame here at the National Bowling Stadium.
Looking to take an 11-pin lead. That was left.
10-pin remains.
Caught a break there. That's a lot of 9. Only leaving the 10-pin on that. And no problem covering the 10. So Josh is going to get up in the 5th frame, down by 1 pin on a spare.
You're Blanchard. You've seen what you've just done. What's your mindset going into this 5th shot?
Well, he's actually changing balls here. He's picking up a different ball. Looks like a little weaker ball, which means he's probably going to move a little further right and try to throw it a little harder and straighter. If it's me personally, because that's how I am, I'm going to pinch a little left and try to slow it down and hook it a little more. But I think it's all what you're comfortable with. He's a little more comfortable going the other way. Oh, he actually moved in with that ball.
And pays the price.
Split. So he took the weaker ball and tried to move left and slow it down a little bit, and didn't move left far enough, and now pays the ultimate penalty with a 4-7-10. So that currently gives the lead of Ben at 4. Could be more if he does not convert here.
Nothing to lose here. Got to think he's going for it.
I would think so. I'm going to give this a run.
And open frame.
1. So now a 16-pin lead for Ben through 5 frames.
So we've got Colorado zip code up top. And Laughlin with some strikes, and now it's head scratching time. You've gone one way, you've gone the other. You got to commit to something here.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say is whatever he does, he's just got to pick one and commit to it now. There's 5 frames left. He's down by 16. He's on an open, so he can't lose any count, and this actually looks like a 3rd ball now. So whatever he does, he's got to commit to it right here. Ben's got an okay look if he makes good shots, and he's got to know that. Josh looks like he moved even further left here. And he did move further left, and now a 3-10. So with an already 16-pin lead, could become 27 if he does not convert this.
We've seen it today quite a bit, though. There's been high scoring, and then there was nail biters, and then it's interesting on how and where they occur.
And a lot of back and forth matches, and then you get down to that title match, and it's different. It's a different feel, and Josh fails to convert there.
So back-to-back opens for Blanchard.
So that is now a 27-pin lead for Ben Laughlin. 5 frames and a 27-pin lead away from your first ESPN telecast. It's going to just bear down, make a couple good shots right here. That's a pretty good shot. And he gets the mixer there. So now with a strike here would make it a 37-pin lead with only 4 frames to go for Josh.
Key shot here. He can really, really pile it on with a double.
And Josh is so far looking lost. He's going to, again, like we talked about, he's going to have to commit to one and just really try to make a good shot. So big shot for Ben right here. And what a great shot that was.
Pure.
37-pin lead with 4 frames to go now.
209 max for Josh Blanchard. And he's yet to strike in this championship match.
He's going to stay with that ball, so I'm going to guess the move is a little further left off that last shot. Try to curve it around it a little bit more. And that's exactly what he did. It's a good shot. Good shot. So make the spare. Still with a 199 possibility, and Ben Laughlin still only in the 2-0s right now, pace. Josh can't afford to not strike on this next shot, though.
Oh my.
And that's just a mental mistake.
One of the things you wouldn't predict is 98 after 7 open for Blanchard. And now the best he can do is 188.
Still got to make a good shot here, try to regroup after that. And a 2-8-10.
Oh my. Ben Laughlin is going to have an opportunity to do something you really don't get to do quite often.
No.
And that would be really enjoy the last 3 frames of a championship match.
Yes, he is, with 167 max now for Josh. Ben just needs to stay behind the foul line a couple times and enjoy the ride.
Ben Laughlin will cash a check for $6 grand. He will decline his World Series of Bowling entry, so the 240th person will be filled with the first person off the waiting list, and Ben will make an appearance on ESPN as a part of the 6th PBA RPI champions.
Yes, he will, and that's good. And I'll probably, since he's my roommate, I'll probably get a free dinner out of it tonight. That's if we make our flight anyway.
I will keep the questions shorter than normal in the postgame ceremony, I promise.
Well, if we miss the flight, he can afford to pay for both our changes.
But another run of great tournaments for Josh Blanchard, second here, and keeping the streak alive of Gary Mage events where he finishes no worse than second.
Yeah, that's still a pretty amazing run, and bowled great all this weekend, and it's a good start to the week going into the World Series.
And I have a feeling this man will be a factor. Another year of experience, another year of competition around the world. You've got the 4 different patterns in 4 days as a part of the PBA World Championship. I do look for Josh Blanchard to make some noise at this year's WSOB.
Yeah, I think he will be certainly a factor. He bowled really well there last year, and you know, he's definitely ready to win, I think.
Blanchard finishing up.
Gets his 1 strike.
Ironically, striking in the 10th frame. And Ben Laughlin will win his 13th career PBA regional title here at the PBA Sands Regency West Northwest Region Players Invitational. And it should be a fun trip home, Dave.
Yeah, it should be good. I was just going to tell you, I gotta get out of here. Mike J and JT, thanks for having me in the booth. And we'll see you guys in a couple days in Vegas. And as much as I love you guys, I really hope to not have time to be in the booth. You guys have a safe trip. I'll see you in a few days.
You too. That's PBA Tour champion Dave Wodka. Extra frame fan favorite, and lucky to have him here with us as we crown this last RPI champion. And there he is, Ben Laughlin. 13th career PBA regional title, and he fills out the field of RPI finalists coming up for that special RPI telecast at the World Series of Bowling. Big smile on his face. And players are just going to finish up. Josh Blanchard already rolled his 10th frame now. Ben has a chance for 246, and no, not going to get it, but doesn't matter. He is the champion, and we're going to get to talk to him in just a moment here on Extra Frame. Here's a look at the National Bowling Stadium. So many great memories here. Incredible events. And one more in the books. Ben Laughlin is the champion in the 2013 PBA Sands Regency West Northwest Regional Players Championship Invitational.